All right, you guys, I wanted to talk a little bit more about the psychology behind cropping. So, I wanted to just explain why a shot like this needs to be fixed in terms of crop and perspective. Of course, it has a very disorienting sensation of the building falling, and if that is even an adjective that is coming up for you, then that is an additional descriptor that you're getting psychologically that is a message from this photo. And as a business person, that is not something that I'm trying to communicate. So if that's the case, then I have to get rid of that adjective that describes this photo. And in order to do that, I can very quickly use the tools in Lightroom and just find the edges here, and I can get rid of that psychological problem, right? That's um, that extra adjective that gets in the way of people just getting the message of what you're trying to get here. Okay, so with a very quick enhancement of that photo, now you have what looks to be a very architecturally interesting facade of a building. And you may you may still have a tiny bit off in terms of how it's stretched, but for the most part, it's not bad. We can also change the aspect ratio here to reduce that amount of stretch, but there you go. So now you have a picture that has been corrected. It was originally not usable, and now it's definitely usable. So hopefully that gives you a clear understanding of how just fixing the crop of an image can really transform it from something that you can't use, to something that you actually can use. Of course, there are examples where it's just not possible to use. So sometimes the picture is so stretched that if you were to correct for it, it would just be really distorted. So here's an example of sort of the same idea behind the shot, showing the same architectural angle, but shot in a way that doesn't have distortion. And I've even cropped it in further here to show even less distortion. So the psychology of cropping is that you have an area, we'll call it, this is basically the picture area, right? Where you're displaying some information for some people. And let's say you have 3 items that you want to showcase. Okay. Um, the first is, let's say you're a cafe and you're in the business of serving drinks, and you're not only serving delicious drinks, but the service that comes with the drinks is amazing, and the decor of the building also makes people want to stay. So let's call this server. This one we'll call decor, and this one is coffee. Okay, so basically you have 3 pieces of information that you want to get across in a very small space. So how are you going to do it? So the decor obviously is going to be the background, right? So let's say you have a big room, a coffee shop, and so that determines where the photographer is going to stand and what is going to be photographed. So if, for example, you have a wall in your store that has the counter in front, okay, and it has a very nicely decorated shelves back here and with some interesting lighting that we want to show. Okay, so that's totally fine, and you can do that. And maybe you have a display case and so on and so forth. Okay, so for example, if you have a server, decor, and you have coffee, what is the priority? Is there a priority? Should they all be equal on the page? So these are some of the questions that you should ask before you start shooting. And once you do start shooting, let's say you don't have an answer, maybe you want to just try for all three. Okay, so here's an example of how I would arrange the objects in a room to, let's say, have the server be the most, the priority. Okay, so if I was shooting a shot and I wanted the server to be the priority, maybe what I would do is place the shot like this, where the server takes up the most amount of room, the coffee takes up a little bit of room, and the decor is in the background and it is slightly blurry. And so that would be an example of a shot that you could make. Okay. And then what about a shot with the decor as the main focus? Then maybe you're far enough back where you can see the decor, whatever the decor happens to be. Okay. And then if the server is only this big and the coffee is only this big, then you have a shot where the decor is the focus.
All right. Hi, Rudy. It looks like you're next for a quick question. So I'm going to go ahead and send you an invite to a breakout room.
Thank you.
All right. And let's see what happens if I make an image where okay, so let's try and have coffee be the star of the show. Okay, so if I were to take a photo where the coffee is the focus, there you go. You can have coffee in the focus. The server, you only see their hands, and you only see the counter there. So that's another one. Or you can zoom in to here and shoot it with a wide angle. So maybe what you end up with is one where the coffee is this big and the server is this big. The counter is here, and maybe you get some decor in the background. Okay, and so in order to do these different types of shots, you generally have to zoom in or zoom out on your camera, but I will show you all of that. But this is again what cropping, the psychology behind cropping, and why you would do a shot in a certain way, and what it means to have distractions. Okay, because anything that isn't communicating these 3 points of view is a distraction. So if, for example, you have a dirty dish rag on the counter, you got to remove it because it's a distraction. If you have signs on the back of the wall, and you're trying to show decor, and this is not part of decor, you got to remove it. If the server is inappropriately dressed or is not communicating with their facial expression, the thing that you want them to communicate, then that's got to change. So all of these things come into effect when you're evaluating. All of these things come into play when you're evaluating whether a photo is working or not.